Good day, scholars. This is day 2 of lesson 9, What is a Computer? Yesterday, we looked at this video and we looked at what do all computers have in common. That is, they have input, they have storage, processing, and output. Those are the basics there. And we also looked at some of the basic computer components. Today, we're going to continue looking at some components. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking up some of these required computer components for this project, and you're going to find the definitions and functions of them, and you're also going to do some analogy work, and you're going to kind of compare them to something else. So let's look at that real quick. What we're going to do is we're going to do this in our portfolio. So to find your portfolio, you can go to Google Drive, you can go to sites.google.com, and you can find it in here. Find your portfolio. It's either on your Google Drive or it's on Google Sites here, and you can find it through here. I'm going to go ahead and open up my example one. So this is my example one for Gateway Tech. This is also going to be similar to the one for General Tech for 6th grade as well. So if you're in 6th grade listening to this, same exact thing. So what I'm going to first do is you're probably on Insert. I'm going to go to Pages, and I'm going to add a page. And I'm going to call this page, What's a Computer? So go ahead and add that page right now. And I added that page now. So now on this page, we need to answer that question, right? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a, let me change that. I'm going to add a question mark because it is a question. Boom. Right? What's a computer? Question mark. And we need to insert a text box to put a definition in there. So let's look up a definition of computer. Computer definition. Let's try and find a definition that makes sense to you guys. So this one might not make sense to you. If that makes sense for you, go for it. But let's find one. I'm going to go to dictionary.com. Programmable electronic device designed to accept data, perform prescribed mathematical and logical operations at high speed, and display the results of these operations. Again, if this definition doesn't make sense to you, find one that makes sense to you. This one makes sense to me, so I'm going to use it. And I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into here. We need to make this look better, obviously. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so that's the definition to that. We answer that question. Now what we need to do is we need to figure out the parts of the computer. So I need to add another little label here. And I'm going to call it Computer Components. And I'm going to make this a title. And I'm going to make it look different here so it separates that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this layout here. Okay, and I'm going to add this layout for every single component that I need. So I'm just going to do one at the moment, but you'll have more of these. So our first one is the case. So I'm going to put case, right? And you know what? Let's go ahead. I'm going to add this for the rest of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe we need 8 of these. I think I got enough. I think I clicked it enough times. Right, case, cooling, motherboard, CPU. So this is cooling. Here's motherboard. This is CPU. GPU, RAM, storage, PSU. GPU, RAM, storage, GPU. Right? Oh, PSU, I think was the last one on bed. PSU, power supply unit. Right? Those are the ones that are required for this assignment. There are more, but that's what we're doing today. Okay, and then add a picture for each of these. Okay, so I'm going to look up a computer case. So I'm going to select image, Google image search, computer case. Try and find an image that's square shaped. Otherwise, it might mess up that's an old one right there. Look at that. It might mess up the formatting a little bit. It's not that big a deal, but let's see. I'm going to put computer case empty because I want an empty computer case that's also kind of open and shows that it doesn't have parts in it. Again, Google image search through Google Sites is not, it's very copyright protected, so it's not going to give you images that, I'm going to select this one, that are legal for you to use. So I added a picture of the case, right? That's great. Next, cooling. So cooling, right, is going to be, oh wait, I don't want to upload one, I need to select one. select image. Cooling will be like fans. So I'm going to take a computer fan. And so these are fans that would go in a computer. Actually, I want a more square shaped picture. There we go. Just for the formatting of it, it makes it a little bit nicer. Square or kind of, I guess, rectangular, horizontally rectangular would be best. But that's fine as well. And you're going to do this for each of these, obviously. Then what you need to do is add the definition of it, of what is the function of this, right? So again, I'm going to do, what does a computer's case do? And I'm going to look it up. Even though I know what it does, I can look it up and find this. So the computer case serves mainly as a way to physically mount and contain all of the actual components inside of a computer, like the motherboard, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to take the first part of that, and I'm going to copy that and put it here. Boom, I have my definition. Right, next one. What do fans in a computer do? Computer fan, right, because it's for cooling. Is any fan inside or attached to a computer case used for active cooling? Here we go. Fans are used to draw cooler air into the case from the outside, expel warm air from the inside, and move air across the heatsink. Fantastic, right? So that makes sense. And you'll do that for the rest of these, obviously. For the ones that are like this, CPU, GPU, make sure you add in the definition that, you know, CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. GPU stands for Graphical Processing Unit. RAM stands for Random Access Memory, right? PSU stands for Power Supply Unit. You need to remember those, okay? And I won't go through the rest of those because I want to show you this part. The second part of this is an analogy. So what is this part of a computer similar to in the human body? So we're going to use the human body because I believe it's the easiest. Also, you'll learn a little about the human body. So the computer case is like analogy, is what I'm going to look up. I know I messed up but whatever. So you can see some of these things I've looked at already. So analogy going computer parts. So you can look up things, you can find stuff and kind of see what other people are thinking about. So I'm going to say this guy is trying to find out analogies for the different computer parts, right? So he's already got a few of these. So he thinks the CPU is like the brain. He thinks the RAM is like the short-term memory. The storage is long-term memory. That's great. But we need the case, right? So the case, this guy thinks the case is like the skeleton, right? Because it holds all the things together. That makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to put is like a skeleton, okay? And then I'm going to add a picture of a skeleton. Hopefully, it is almost October, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Hopefully, like I'm gonna look up a spooky skeleton for Halloween. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic! Boom, Jack Skellington. Let's do it, dudes. All right. So the case is like a skeleton. All right. How is the case like a skeleton? The case is like a skeleton in that it holds all of the parts together, all of the computer parts together, and acts as its structure, right? Great, fantastic, right? So the fans, the cooling fans. So think about it. You might not even have to look it up. If you have to look it up, you can, but if you just think about some of these, you might be able to come up with some of your own analogies. So the fans keep the computer parts cool inside the case, right? Well, what on the human body keeps you cool when it's hot out, right? So I'm thinking a little bit. I already know, but just think for a second. What keeps you cool as a human when you're outside and you're playing sports? Let's say, oh, you sweat a lot, right? So cooling is like sweating, right? And I'm gonna add the definition first, right? So the human body sweats to keep itself cool when it is hot, much like the fans of a computer keep a computer cool. Or that's what I'm gonna put from overheating, because really that's what it's doing. And I'm going to find a picture of sweat, something about sweating, right? Try not to pick anything too gross, even though we are doing human body stuff. Try not to pick something too gross. This is random baby being held up in there. Sweat, just weird pictures. Sweat human. It's gonna get some weirder pictures probably. I'm gonna pick this one. This girl here is sweating. Looks like a girl. So there we go. Right, cooling is like sweating, etc. Go to the next one. Motherboard. What does the motherboard do? What is the motherboard like in the human body? Again, you can look things up. You can Google things, find things, and then you're gonna do that for each of those parts. Okay. And make sure you have a nice picture. Try and keep the formatting correct. You know, it's going to be difficult if you pick weird shaped pictures, but for the most part, it should be able to kind of put pictures in these things pretty easily. Okay. If you got any questions, reach out to me. If you need help with the analogy stuff, ask me, ask your friends, that kind of stuff, and try and get each of these computer components into their boxes.